That will criminalise coercive control. The new offence targets patterns of controlling and abusive behaviour. Joining me live is Dr. Terry Goldsworthy, criminal justice and criminology expert. Thank you so much for joining us. It certainly comes during a big week in crimes and deaths across the country. What defines the terms of coercive control?
Well, we look at coercive control in terms of a pattern of behaviour, as you indicated. So, in Queensland, the offence is stipulating that you need to be in a domestic violence relationship to begin with, and they're defined under the Act as, intimate partner relationships, family relationships, and carer relationships. You then need to show that pattern of behaviour more than one occasion. It has to be domestic violence type behaviour that is intentionally designed to coerce someone. And by coercing, we're talking about intimidating, isolating, humiliating people. And the final aspect of it has to tick the box for it. It has to be reasonably shown that it would cause harm or likely to cause harm in either physical, psychological, emotional, or financial ways. So if you can satisfy all those elements, then there'll be a case for a criminal charge of coercive control in Queensland.
And this law in Queensland is set to carry a maximum penalty of 14 years in jail. How hard is it to prove?
Yeah, look, it's been given a substantial penalty, as you outlined there, but it is going to be difficult to prove. The experience we've seen from overseas jurisdictions in Scotland and in the UK, for instance, only about less than 2% of reported cases actually resulted in a conviction for the offence. If you look at the matters taken to court where someone was charged, the conviction rate ran at about 50%. But the problem was many of the cases are not even getting to court, and that's because I think it is a difficult offence to prove. It's relying on behaviours that could be perhaps seen as not being necessarily domestic violence behaviours, but normal behaviours that we may see from time to time in relationships. So, I mean, that's the difficulty, and that's why we've seen the delay in it being rolled out to 2025 in Queensland to allow the police to be trained to recognise coercive control behaviours. So, I mean, there's a substantial amount of training going to take place to ensure that the police are fully equipped to act on these matters when they come across them. But it will be a substantial investigation needed to take these matters forward if you're going to be successful with them. They're not going to be done easily.
And what is your opinion on the penalty, 14 years in jail for Queensland?
Well, I think it's a reasonable penalty. I mean, that's the maximum, so there is discretion within the courts depending on the context and the facts of each individual matter. So, I mean, I guess what the government was sending in light of, the Hannah Clark experience, etc., is that this kind of behaviour will not be tolerated. We've seen some very good campaigning by victims' relatives up in Queensland and elsewhere in terms of getting this kind of behaviour identified. I think it'll be helpful. It's good that the police now have this tool. We did actually capture coercive behaviours in our domestic violence definitions up here for a number of years, but they're only in terms of defining what domestic violence was. There was no separate criminal offence. So we now have that extra ability for the police to charge someone with those behaviours that may have fallen outside of things like sexual assaults, stalking, or just physical assaults. So it is useful in that respect.
And what do you think the role in technology is going to have in coercive control and other types of investigations?
Well, I think the role of technology is increasing all the time. I mean, our digital footprint that we leave every day, every minute of the day, as we use our devices, is now affording police invaluable evidence in terms of investigations. We saw recently where the Victorian Police mentioned that they were using telephone data to identify people who are in the location of a certain offence. That is a go-to source of information now to police. When they commence these investigations, they are in a low information state, and things like electronic devices, phones, computers, laptops, even GPS watches, your smartwatch, provides a lot of evidence for the police to collate what you were doing, who you were doing it with, and what's happened to you. So they're excellent sources of evidence for the police and investigations.
And if somebody thinks that they are a victim of coercive control, what would you recommend to them?
Look, there's plenty of resources available. Just jump on the net, put in help for coercive control, will bring you straight up to places like DV Connect, national helplines, etc. Ring those lines, speak to them about what's happening to you, and get assistance. I mean, the police must take action, and where there is domestic violence matters, the Act is quite clear on that. Don't sit and suffer in silence and endanger yourself or other people around you. Take action where it's safe to do so. Contact those lines and get assistance in place that you can access.
Dr. Terry Goldsworthy, always great to see you. Thank you so much for your time and expertise.
Thanks, Jane.
If this